All right. So again, if you're not all the way through, that's totally fine. That's one reason why all this stuff is written out. Questions about this part? Did anything come up? Tony?
Can you explain where it says variable product equals resource products stuff?
Yeah, this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is sort of like Angular's version of Active Record Base. It doesn't connect directly to the database, but it's really pretty cool. Angular has built in a bunch of stuff that communicates with RESTful routes. So RESTful routes, it's not necessarily just a Rails thing. It means any app anywhere that has get is for index and show, and delete is for destroying stuff, and post is for creating stuff. Anything that's set up that way, Angular can use this $resource thing to talk with. It's got a whole bunch of code built in and a whole bunch of methods that lets Angular talk to things like that. So when we're doing $resource, it is kind of like we're doing Active Record. It inherits from Active Record Base. It's not actually Active Record, but it's Angular's own way of interacting with data. And it gives us a whole bunch of methods and things that we can do with that. We haven't really done anything with it yet. The only method we've used is this .query thing, but we'll get there. The first part of it, this thing is telling Angular what URL to load stuff from. So with Grumbler, you guys are doing grumbler.herokuapp.com or something, I think. Or you're doing it on your own computer. I don't remember which one. But this is just the URL from which it should load this stuff. And this update method put, we'll get to that in a little bit. Does that make it a bit clearer? Cool. Next.
Can you re-explain the toFixed?
Yes. So toFixed is not an Angular thing. toFixed is just a JavaScript thing that's built in that does something like, I do 3.1415.926, that's all I remember. toFixed, and 3. It just rounds it out to 3 decimal places. If I have 3 and I do toFixed 3, it gives me 3.000. So toFixed just takes, the reason we're doing it here is because without it, like if one of these things, this one right here is $7, it would just show up as 7. Other questions? You guys have been asking really good questions today, incidentally. Thank you for that. I'll keep going. Any objections before I keep going? No? Cool. Okay, cool. So we have reading. Now we're going to start destroying stuff. So let's see. First, I am going to set up the destroy method in here. So this is, again, going to be pretty much the way you did it before. I'm going to say product. I'm going to comment that out. I'm going to do product.remove id product.id. I need to get that ID from somewhere, so I'm going to say var product equals, I'm going to get it from the data. So it's going to pass in like 3 or something, and I'll just get the third product in this data array. So I'm going to remove that, and then if that's successful, it'll fire this callback. And then I'm going to put this guy inside here. So the reason I'm putting it inside here is because this line right here, this is what actually removes, this is what's actually going to make it disappear from the web page. If I didn't have this line, it would be deleted from the database, but it's going to still stay on the web page, which is kind of weird. So I'm putting it in here because if it successfully deletes this thing from the database, only then do I want this product to be removed from the web page. That's why I'm putting it inside these callbacks. The pattern for this is that anytime you see a callback inside ng resource stuff, it's something that executes whenever that request was successful. So something was successfully deleted, something was successfully edited, created, whatever. Anytime something was successfully happened, this callback is going to fire. There are other callbacks you can put in there for like, if it wasn't successful, you can have this other thing happen. But for right now, we're just worried about if it works successfully. Did you have a question, Matt?
Yeah, for the splice params, so product
Mhm. Oh yeah, so splice again. This isn't an Angular thing. So let's say the product its index is 3. So this goes into the data array and it finds the third thing and then it removes one thing from the array from that point. So if this was 3, it would remove 3, 4, and 5. If it was 2, it would remove things 3 and 4. It's just 1, so it just removes one thing. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yep. Yep. So that's JavaScript's weird way of removing things from an array. Other questions? Oh, well, this doesn't do anything yet, so maybe I should make that happen. Okay, so I'm going to fire this off. And I'll open up the console, and I get delete, blah, blah, blah. Well, delete not found. What do I need to do? Oh, I heard someone say it. Yeah, I don't have a delete method in my controller yet. That's what I need to do. So I'm going to do def destroy, and then this is going to look exactly the way it would look with any other model. I'm going to do product.destroy params ID. I think that's it. Am I forgetting anything? And then I don't have to do this, but I like to. So this is just going to send back a little JSON object that is just success true. That's it. And it's going to, so you know how there are like 404 status codes, which means something went wrong? This sends a 200 status code, which means everything is A-OK. So that makes sure Angular knows this worked perfectly fine. Okay, so now when I do this, I get another error, unprocessable entity. So this is a different error, and a different error is always good. The problem here is that I've got this line in here. So this line prevents anyone from performing AJAX on your database. This line prevents anyone from like being able to create or delete or whatever stuff in your database. It doesn't affect reading stuff in your database, but it means no one else can change your database. So if I want this to stop, I'll just comment it out, and that's it. If you wanted more nuanced control, there are ways you can do that. So you can say, okay, I only want my server to be able to make AJAX requests, or I only want so-and-so to be able to make delete requests. You can get more fine-grained than that, but this is totally sufficient for my needs right now, so I'm just going to stick with that. Commenting this line out means anyone, anywhere can make AJAX requests to my database, which could have problems, but I'm in development. I don't care. Matt, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I was just thinking back to our projects. That means that is that why our void app, anytime we added, either a comment or a video or whatever we added in our projects, then we get on database.
It would only do that if you. It sort of depends on how you were setting it up. If you used, I think if you used form tag, that may have happened. Whereas if you use form for, it takes care of that for you. So what's going on here is that with every request, it looks for like a little secret code that gets sent along with everything else. And if you don't have that secret code, then it rejects your request. This is telling it, don't worry about that secret code. So you probably you either did or didn't have that secret code, and Rails was like freaking out and being like, no, this guy's not authorized. Like, does not compute. So yeah, it's one of those situations where it's nice that it's secure, but it's also annoying that it's secure because it's just one more thing to worry about.
So by commenting it out, anybody anywhere can go on this site, add an item or erase an item, and update your database?
Well, more specifically, they can't. It's not like they can just hack into my database. They can send an AJAX to my controller, and it'll accept that AJAX. Without this, it'll reject that AJAX. So it really just does stuff with AJAX and forms, and that's really it. So it's not like, it's not like they have access to like Rails console or anything. It's not like they can do that. It just means it will accept AJAX from anyone.
I'm not getting, I'm not saying like, I guess the AJAX part.
So like right here, whenever I click this X button, it's going to send an AJAX request to this delete root right here. It's going to send an AJAX request to this destroy root, which will destroy from the database. If this thing was commented in, then when this destroy root receives that AJAX request, it's going to say, nope, can't do that. So it's just an extra security thing. It's just going to reject any AJAX that tries to change your database. Does that make more sense?
Yeah,
Ish.
I would just follow up with you on the class, just to get some more, specific details on that. I'm not really
Okay.
trying to get it.
Well, so think about it this way. Like, if anyone anywhere can send AJAX requests that change stuff in your database, then I could really, I could even just do it in here. Like, just set up a little AJAX thing in here that just 1,000 times over 1 second sends a request to my database, and then bam, with one line of JavaScript, I have added 1,000 things to the database. That means anyone could do that. So that's a big security liability. I don't care because I'm just developing this thing right now, and I'll worry about that when I get into production. So that's one reason why you would want to leave this thing on. But I'm just turning it off because I'll worry about security later on. So now if I click this button a couple times, I don't see any errors, so that's good. And if I refresh the page, not done anymore, I should see there are far fewer than 100 items in here, and there are. So this is successfully deleting things from the database. Yep, cool. Questions about that part?
So if you delete those things, if you just go to your database, it's all deleted.
It's all deleted. Yep, I can see evidence of that here. So, yep, I see this begin delete from products where products ID equals blah, blah, blah. So this is the SQL that's being run to delete things from my database. So it's actually deleting things. All right, so I'm actually going to skip these parts because create and update are like basically more of the same. And so you guys can work on that yourselves later on. The last thing I want to touch on is just how deployment works. So, well, you know what? We'll get to that later on too. I'm just going to stop there and go ahead and take, so you're not going to catch up in 10 minutes, I don't think, unless you work really fast. And that's okay. Just get however far you can. But just start cranking through these CRUD things. And then we'll bring it back in 10.